Hey guys, welcome back to Flight Simulator and welcome back to my channel. Today we're taking a special little flight. Can you guess from the tail number on the aircraft? Yes, Elon 1. Let's just pretend it's Elon Musk's private plane because why not? I mean, let's have some fun. We are at Kennedy Space Center here in Florida and we are at, which is somehow very populated with GA aircraft and the usual prolific amount of ground service vehicles, the NASA Shuttle Landing facility here in Kennedy. So without further ado, we're going to get ourselves rocking and rolling, and we are going to take a little fun tour around Kennedy Space Center from the air. I have one of the new fantastic sceneries in, and I will have a link in the description where you can find it, and it is a wonderful, wonderful Addon scenery, introducing a bunch of the aircraft from... introducing a bunch of the facilities and buildings from here at Kennedy. So I'm pretty positive I've got most things turned on here. We want to have our nav anti-collision. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so we should be Gucci to start up the engine. Did I say Gucci? I'm so sorry. There we go. Nice simple little plane at Pipistrel. Avionics are on. Transponder on. See if this actually switches through to what we wanted to do. One of my favourite little planes actually here. Altitude mode. And we're basically good to rock and roll here. I need to work out where my parking brake is. That would not be it. Is that it? I can't tell. I don't even know where it is. Meh, we'll work it out. Either way. Okay, so it was that. Right, we'll get ourselves turned around. We're not going to behave like we're towered right now. We're just here for the fun of going to explore Kennedy. So we'll get ourselves turned around on the apron here. With a very small aeroplane, we've got tons of room. PC-12 looks huge. Some interesting news though. We've got some upcoming news regarding payware aircraft, including the L-19 Bird Dog, Cessna L-19, which is something I'm desperately looking forward to myself. Not only was it great for bush flying, but it's the Bird Dog from Vietnam. It's going to be so much fun. Very large taxiways here to accommodate the space shuttle. The space shuttle? Did I just go Sean Connery and Liza Minnelli at the same time? Possibly. Either way, let's get ourselves texted out here. Big thank you to everybody, by the way, who subscribed recently. I've only started the channel a week ago, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are thinking of things. Like I said, we're just treating this like this is completely uncontrolled. Nobody else here. I'm not going to go through many particular procedures here because I want to get you guys up and looking in the air. You know what? I'll probably take it across the runway, but we're not going to. This is one heck of a runway because it's for landing a space shuttle. Most notably landing it if an aborted takeoff rather than it's actually being a landing site for bringing it in normally. Typically this is where they'll bring it back on the back of a 747 to then return it to the Space Center for servicing and obviously refurbishment. So not literally designed for the shuttle to land on after every mission. More, this is where it could land if they had to abort the launch. They would separate from the SRBs, the solid rocket boosters. They would separate from the main tank, which is the large orange tank you see on it. Notably, that same tank being somewhat reused for SLS. I'm a massive space nerd, if you didn't know. So if they had to abort before they could reach orbit, they would separate off and they could come back to here, landing at this monster of a runway down here. The Shuttle Landing facility, huge, absolutely massive here in the Everglades in Florida. And once we get ourselves rolled around here, you'll start to see some of the facilities here, as there's pad 39A, and there appears to be something on it. We'll have to go take a look. This scenery though adds a ton of the features. The area by default is kind of sad. The VAB, Vehicle Assembly Building, which you'll see in just a second, is essentially a big large block. You'd think with a facility this famous, this important, they'd have put some more detail in, but not worth being handcrafted apparently. Still, so it's leveled out here. Flying over the Kennedy Space Center, the place where man launched to the moon, where man and womankind will launch to the moon yet again, where the first crew since 2009? 2011? Yeah, 2011 launched to the ISS, last aboard the Shuttle Endeavour, and more recently Crew Dragon Endeavour. So an exciting one there. Actually no, it's Atlantis the final mission, I'm incorrect. STS-135 was Atlantis, so A couple of pads out there. We'll go and take a look at 39A and 39B, which are those two shortly. This one here being 39A. You'll also see a small building there. That's SpaceX's final assembly building. So let's take a look at the Space Center. Imagine if you were allowed to fly over Kennedy Space Center. This is what you'd see. So here we have the vehicle assembly building, or the vertical assembly building, where the shuttles were mounted onto their assemblies, where the Saturn V was built, in fact. Those huge doors just for that. Yeah. So we have a lot of the ground structures and buildings here. The highway out there. The actual astronauts were taken care of down there, actually. And they would come up this highway here to actually arrive and board the vehicle. Lindsay Stirling actually performed Artemis aboard that roof. Yes, Artemis being the name of the next missions, of course, to the moon. And her track, Artemis, which I guess was in concert with NASA. She's a pretty good musician. I like her. Let's take a bit of a look outside here. Oh god, hello. There we go, the big cool assembly building, or vertical assembly building here at NASA. That's how big this is. Those are normal buildings down there. You know, 2-3-story buildings. And then you've got this monstrosity here. This huge structure. You could probably land on top of it. We may try that at the end. But we're going to head out to the launch pads first and take a look at some of those sites. Actually, yeah, the astronaut handling facility would be over there, just out of the back corner of my window. We'll fly out to 39A and B first, then we'll take a look. So this here, that path below us, is the crawler path. That's the way the rockets were brought out in the Apollo and Shuttle eras. Neither really needed these days, because SpaceX does all their assembly or final assembly of vehicles right next to the pad. The only thing you really see drive out along that is the Tesla Model X's carrying the astronauts out to the Falcon. Out here through the Florida swamps. Lots of water and foliage to absorb sound. A great place to have rockets launched. And you'll see we have a rocket on the pad. That is a Falcon Heavy, I believe, from what the scenery described. So we'll get over there and take a look. That's SpaceX's new tower. Of course, by default, that area actually had nothing on it. It was just flat. It wasn't even a model platform. It was just the kind of general shape of the terrain, which is one of the downsides of this kind of photo scenery. I've never liked photo scenery. Now, they've done it very well in FS2020, of course, but in general, I've really detested photo scenery because it tends to suffer at lower levels and details. And you'll see there, it just looks a little potato and underused. But that is SpaceX's final assembly building down there, where the rockets are brought and either put together, prepped, attached to the other vehicles. And they're all prepared sideways, so they're prepared down flat. And then they're erected once they leave there, so they come out on the strong back, which is that big white shape you see attached to the front of the rocket there. They're wheeled out on the strong back along rail tracks up to the pad where they're raised up. Now, I'm pretty sure that's the shuttle crawler down there. That looks a little bit weird, but close enough. Let's get to a nice pylon turn over a Falcon Heavy. So this looks a lot better. This looks way more realistic. You've got the flame ducts. You've got the deluge system. Oh, the tank for the deluge system isn't there. Let's keep ourselves turning here. Nice bit of rudder. So this is what it'd be like to fly over that thing whilst it's on the pad, which isn't something most people get to do. So quite a nice experience. So more satellite and systems areas along the coast. I don't believe the scenery did anything to Cape Canaveral, which is down the coast, but that's also where SpaceX launches a lot of its rockets from, especially the cargo vehicles and satellite missions. Most of them going from pad Slick 40, I believe it is, at Canaveral. So we're going to head up to 39 Bravo now, which is this one over here. That was 39A there. Unless they got them mixed up, which would be very strange. If this one has a Falcon Heavy on it as well, then there'll be definitely some confusion. But I'm pretty positive that's 39A. I may be incorrect. Do we have another rocket? No, we just have a tower. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's 39A over there, which means that scenery is a little out of date, which is weird because the grass around 39B here looks a lot cleaner and neater. So it's almost as if they could have just used that when we know the first area looks like this. 39A is not grass and weeds like you saw over there, so I'm hoping that a lot of companies like Orbex, who created things like their oh god, True Earth? Yes, that's the one. True Earth. I'm hoping that True Earth was basically them knowing Microsoft wanted to go down this route of photo scenery and what they plan to do with it. And basically, we're planning ahead, thinking we can create scenery regions using photo scenery where we correct things, fix things, tweak them, and bring our normal Orbex level of quality and autogen, especially the densities of autogen you see in 2020, to photo scenery. So I'm hoping we will see, in fact, those higher quality regions coming out fairly soon, which will make someone like me incredibly happy because their airport density is better, more bush strips, more small airports, more nice little places. Everything's just tweaked and perfected just right. So you won't see any of those raised rivers, derpy moments, splits in the terrain, and it'll just about fix everything you're really looking for and give us a much nicer appearance. So, I promised I'd do this at the end of the video. I know it's only a short one, but we are going to go in and try and land on top of the VAB. This seems like a stupid idea, but I figure why not? Why not? I mean, what could it hurt? I've landed spacecraft on top of the VAB in Kerbal Space Program. Now I'm going to do it in Flight Sim too. If it's contactable, that is. So we have a bit of a mission here. So I'm doing about 93 knots right now. The vehicle assembly building is directly ahead of us. I believe there's a central pathway I can actually probably make it onto. So we'll see if we can do this. This looks beautiful, honestly. I love how this looks. The Space Coast is stunning. Ultra settings in Flight Sim are gorgeous. And I thought this would be a nice little trip for you guys you might enjoy. It's a quick little flight. We're just really messing around here, but I want to show you some of the things that have come out already. One of the next videos after my review of some of the upcoming Orbex releases or releases that have just come out will be actually a bush flight to some brand new bush scenery out in British Columbia, which will be a lot of fun to fly in. Little strips and apparently some bears at one of those fields. So, okay, we'll get ourselves lined up here. Okay, we have an approach position, so I will need to just keep my nose up to burn some speed and get some flaps out. I think that's okay. Well, notch your flaps here. I'm probably going to screw this up and go off the end, so apologies ahead of time if we do. But if we go off the end, we'll just touch down at the shuttle landing strip and we'll be good to go. There we go. We're looking pretty good. This is the sketchiest thing I can possibly imagine doing, so why not? We're just going to land on top of one of the tallest single room structures that exists. For the sake of Flight Sim entertainment, I'm going to overshoot this landing. And it's not... Oh, that's disappointing. I figured a touch and go would be worth it even if we were going to miss it because we'd be able to see if we could, you know, get our speed right and if it was contactable. Turns out it's not, so that is very disappointing. I'm sorry for ruining all your hopes and dreams. But we'll come across the highway there and we'll come into the shuttle landing facility here. More swamp. Lots of swamp here. Of course, that's the road you'll see that the shuttle will be transported down back to the facilities where it's worked on. That's why that whole road is so big there. So it can be towed down without having to watch out for traffic and trees. So of course that's a lot of NASA's facilities over there where the astronauts tend to be prepared and get ready. I mean, we didn't even know to worry about this approach. This place is huge. Just imagine you're aborting from a shuttle launch, something's gone wrong, you've jettisoned the SRBs, which can't be shut off by the way. If you have to abort before going to orbit, so an abort to orbit would be where you abort into an orbit which isn't where you intended to go. Those rockets are still burning until they separate. Solid fuel motors cannot be stopped, so let's slip it down a little bit high. But, yeah, you'd have to separate them whilst they're burning, get rid of the main fuel tank, and then basically become a glider, which is not on its intended pathway, which will become incredibly difficult for you to handle. So, kudos to the shuttle pilots, they are absolute pros. I mean, it's like flying a brick with wings, so I've been told. But down here to the shuttle landing facility, here at Kennedy, and probably one of the smallest things to land on this runway, although I'm sure smaller aircraft have landed since. Oh, hello. There we go. Bring it to a nice gentle stop. And Elon 1 is back on the ground. Ah. So shut the motor down while we're here. No point being noisy, right? So, that was a brief tour of Kennedy Space Center. I'll link the scenery in the description. You can also find it and many other great ones at MSFS.addons.org. You'll see the link. Thanks for flying with me today, guys. I've been Angel, and I've been happy to have you here with me. Bye.